Oi, oi. I'm having a look at the race cards for the weekend. Thursday, Friday are the ones I'm going to preview in here, but I've been looking for the next few days racing, and it's pretty decent, isn't it? All the way through to Sunday, we've got some proper racing too. It's just going to ramp up from here on in as the season goes on, but there's some big names about to come out. I just thought I'd drop in with you guys, give you my thoughts for Thursday, Friday, ones to keep an eye on, some potential ones I'll be watching, and any ones that I may be semi-tempted to bet. And then I'm going to do another video. I'll get this one out on Friday for Saturday and Sunday stuff. So at least we're all covered. So without further ado, let's just crack straight on with Thursday's thoughts. We've got a card at Newbury, a card at Thurles. Thurles is the better one. But I'm going to quickly just talk about a couple of races at Newbury for interest's sake. So the first one to mention there, it's ridiculous. You won't believe I'm even talking about a horse that's rated 118. But there's a novices limited handicap chase. I do like these novices handicap chases. Admittedly, when they're in lowest fizz, can be a little bit annoying, but some of these horses can be very, very progressive. Hugo for the owners group, Harry Cobden and Paul Nicholls was filthy the last day, like unbelievably just schooled in session, looked real, real good. But I think this is quite a tidy little race, to be honest with you. I think there's maybe three, Wider Galley, Gitmaker and Hugo, the ones I'll be most interested in. I'm just having a watch of that race because I think there could be some bets to come out of it. Again, I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to these levels of racing, but looks interesting. All the same anyway, but there is a Potemps qualifier at Newbury, and did they leave you out too? Was behind Nappers Hill at the October meeting for Chepstow. That form's been franked well with Lord Battersley coming out, and something else a bit further back came out and won, Prashima in fact. So I think he's going to be like a fancied horse. There are 10 runners in there, so you might be getting some muggy each way bets. Obviously for qualification purposes, 6 will get them through to the final in the end, or depending on ratings and things. Jack Louis for David Maxwell thinks a horse that's got much better than his 138. Interesting one to watch. Cyril Delax in here for David Piper, also entered on the Friday Exit. We'll talk about her tiny little teeny bit, but looks an interesting one. Again, you don't really be betting these qualifiers, but I think Did They Leave You Out Too showed quite a lot the last day. He may be one I might be looking to trade, but we'll leave that as that. There is a bumper as well. Look for a few of them in there. There isn't anything that I really want to get too excited about, to be honest with you, so I'm not going to bother delving into that too much, but personally, I wouldn't be getting carried away with anything that goes and wins that Newbury bumper. Even if there's a wide margin winner, don't think anything of that good. Then Thurles tomorrow is pretty decent. There's a few like nice enough horses anyway, but there's one I want to talk about in the penultimate race, and then there's the obvious one in the last race. The obvious one in the last race in the bumper is Demand driving the van. He's going out, doesn't really seem like he's up against much, so let's just see how he goes. Lots of the horses he's running against have already raced, whether it be in points or on the course. Like, he's going to just absolutely dot up, so not going to find much out there. But there's a maiden hurdle the race before. There's a horse called Dinaline for Willie Mullins. Now, again, you're probably going to be surprised why we talk about this horse, but she was pretty well fancied in a bumper, to be honest with you. Patrick Road, which isn't always the case, although he obviously does ride most of Willie Mullins' bumper horses. But you get Jodie Towden, you get a few other people that are being used. Pretty impressed with the market support that came for the horse. It didn't really run that great. It wasn't like a mind-blowing performance, but it wasn't a bad effort at all. Straight over hurdles here, so after one bumper, and going straight over the 3-mile trip, 2 miles 7 and a bit. Bred to stay further. Paul Townend's still taking the ride here. Sometimes Paul Townend will just, pick and choose the rides that he wants to go for. But I think this is really interesting. The race doesn't look that great, to be honest with you. We've got the tissues for Racing Post here at the moment. 11 to 4 poke this Dinaline. I don't know, like, it's very hard to price these up and talk about an entry point or anything like that, but I would be looking at maybe trying to get stuck into this Dinaline a little bit. I've been doing a lot of trading on the exchanges rather than having proper bets on where I think the price is at the right point, and I can bet to get some sort of free liability and then make the same sort of stakes. Either way, but yeah, Dinaline's one I'm really interested in. Again, don't know in terms of like long-term prospects what it would be, but one away from some of the other big names that be interested on Thursday to watch out. We'll move on to Friday just because I want to get this done fairly quickly. Down Royal and Exeter are decent. Let's do Exeter first because we're in Britain. Go on the Brits. Novices heard at the beginning, Outlaw Peter was again beaten at the Chepstow meeting last month. Goes in here with a proper chance. Cyril Delac, the one that I've mentioned, is in here again. As known as for John Joe O'Neill, the parent of that junior and senior. Looks a nice horse, but Outlaw Peter I think will be one to keep an eye on. 130-ish rated, we'll see where that pitches him. Nicholls and Cobden have got Lallygag in the race after, which is Lauder's brother. I'm not so keen on this horse. I was actually talking to Darren about him the other day. He brought him up. we're not so keen on the horse. Like, don't think it's going to be anything of a worldie. I don't know. I don't think it's that good, to be honest with you. Probably be one that might be overbet. Was trying to see if I could take something on with it. I don't know if there is. Vikings Way for the Skelton's quite interesting though, because that was smashed from 13 to 8, maybe to odds on. And I was watching that on the exchanges. It was well supported, but didn't really run very well. And they were quite easy on him in the last bit. So they've got another horse in the race down Skelton here with David England. I'm not saying they're just using that for it, but be interested to see how this Vikings Way goes in the market and how he performs. So one definitely for me to be watching in there. Philip Hobbs has got a reasonable newcomer in Madaket as well. And then Joe Tizard, he's fine at the minute, he's got one in there. There is the 3 mile, it is, 3 mile novices chase, the Silver Bowl, the Future Stars. There's been some good horses that have run in this before. It's only a 3-runner affair. Pressured Up, Flash Colons that went against each other at Chepstow last month, and Pressured Up beat Flash Colons, but I did touch on the fact that that horse has had issues breathing and all that sort of stuff, would probably have needed the run. And then Time Hill's in there. So Time Hill getting weight is like 2.5 stone better than any of these on official ratings. Priced up at 4 to 9. What did touch 8 to 15 with Bet365, which looked a pretty decent price, to be honest with you. We'll just see how the ground goes, because Exeter Firm can be quite quick, so I don't know whether Time Hill will definitely run. If that is the case, I know this is very loosely talking about stuff, but if he wasn't to run and you were to bet something like Flash Colons, who's getting £8 now from Pressure Luck, and I think he'll step forward from it, I think with the way the rule 4 would work out, you'd actually end up with quite a good price on Flash Colons. So I'm in an R and toying to see if I can get wind of like weather forecasts and stuff, because I don't know, but I just feel like if it's good ground, there could be some like soft that's going in there. I just don't feel fully confident that Time Hill would race, and especially if the fence is first and one good, but we'll see. He's got like a schooling session there, hasn't he? But I'm probably speculating too much in there. There's a reasonable handicap chase, but then we have got a decent handicap chase in the Holden Gold Cup. That's honestly, the roll of honour of this race is insane. I put a little video up on Twitter, montage. Everyone says it's not about Cheltenham. Posted montage for Exeter, no one watches it. Post anything to do with Cheltenham and everyone's on it. But Warlord's a really interesting one in there. Is installed a 2 to 1 favourite. Joe Tizard, I've mentioned it in a couple of videos, and I've mentioned it in the past about the fact of what happened with the yard and the family, all those sort of things. And Joe, I think, would want to get off to a flyer at the beginning of his training career to like lure some people in. That seems to be the case at the minute. He is having lots of horses running well. They're not all being well backed in the market though, because I tried to back to lay one the other day and got 60 quid done because I couldn't get myself out of it. I could have got out, but I'm just too greedy. But yeah, it's an interesting race. Grenadine, Harry Cobden rides. He was on Hitman twice last year, so in the Holden Gold Cup and then in the Tingle Creek. Tingle Creek would be Grenadine's big day, you'd think, but we'll just have to see. I think will run well in this, but probably will step up for it. So wouldn't be a race I'm interested in betting in, but a very good race to watch all the same. So that's Friday. Exeter done. We'll get quickly cover down Royal just so that we've got it said. As I said, there'll be some more thoughts for the weekend. I've got a couple that I really am interested in. Maiden Hurdle, the first race at Dam Royal. American Mike's taken on absolutely no one. It is 2 miles 6 and a bit, or 6.5. I know people may be worrying about the trip maybe, but I don't know. I think he's just going to be an out-and-out plodder, he could probably be a similar Hollow Games horse as last year. That I don't think he'll make it Grade 1 middle trip, but I don't know. Like, I'm being a bit harsh on this horse, I think. We'll see how he goes. Junick dot up, won't learn anything about it. There is, let's be clear about it, for Gavin Cromwell in the race, though, who's a horse that was behind Kilcret and behind Sir Gerhard, so we know, maybe not so much Kilcret, but we know that that's reasonable form. Big layoff to overcome in here, but really interesting one in there anyway, so at least we've got something to go against it. How well that horse can run after a layoff, we don't know, but a cracking race to watch anyway. There's a Grade 3 Mares Novice Hurdle. There is one in here that I'm in an RM whether I want to get stuck into. This will be another one that I'll be looking to use an exchange to bet and then maybe look at trading my way back out of it. There's a few nice names in there. The Model Kingdom for Noel Mead. There's Magical Zoe for Henry Bromhead. We got Willie Mullins has put a couple in there. Nikini, Carrigmore Queen. One that I'm really interested in is Liberty Dance. You might remember I put this mare up at the Dublin Racing Festival. She was about 25s, 33s when I put her up. She went off at 14s. She only just got beat when there was a bunch between 4 of them in the finish. I was just impressed with her bumper run the time before with Jamie Codd on. She went back and won in a bumper after that, and very workmanlike, rude way to say it. She just didn't look as good or as up for it, but then she had a few months of in training, so you don't know whether some of these horses just, maybe they don't want as much training and stuff going as others. Ground was probably softer than she ran in a couple of others, which will be similar to what it's going to be on Friday, but Liberty Dance is about 7 or 8 to 1 poke. I may be looking at back in herb, maybe in the muggy each way bets, because I think she does stick to the task. But it'll be a race to look at anyway. There'll definitely be some information that comes out the back of that. Wicked Hurdle, a Grade 2, decent race. We've got the Cornwall Construction, I've got a couple in there, Fildor, Pied Piper. It's basically a match between those two in the betting and on official ratings. I'd be Team Pied Piper personally. Seeing 10 to 11 here, and you couldn't have a massive amount between them, could you? But I would definitely be erring on the side of Pied Piper over Fildor there. Interesting. Probably won't be a bet, but you've seen me get lured to the side. There's a beginner's chase as well that's got the likes of Mighty Potter in there. I say the likes of, pretty much him. Largy debut that, remember a long time ago, feels like a long time ago now, didn't it? On Maiden battered Kilcrook when Kilcrook was like 1 to 25 or whatever. There is a bumper as well, 3-runner affair, better days ahead for coordinator Jamie Codd's in there. Hasn't really got much to go against, again, 3-runner race. So there's going to be a few of those horses that are big names are going to come out, win. Demand Driving Divan, American Might, better days ahead. I think it'll all just go out and just dart. We're not going to find out much information, but there are some races on the supporting cards that are very interesting. So the main reason I've chucked this out now is I didn't want to not talk about it, but I didn't also want to pad out a video for the whole weekend, too long a video. So I'll be back with that, post that on Friday. I'll try and get it out as soon as declarations are in. So they'll be 10:30, maybe give me an hour or so to get it done. I'm going to try and talk about some price point things in there as well. Talk about some more targets. There's been lots of entries and news and stuff that's come out as well. So I might go for a bit of a longer one for Friday. If not, I'll do a wrap up the Monday after. And yeah, but just keep supporting it, because I appreciate your comments and stuff in the comments below, because it is handy to know where you guys are thinking and what you're fancying as well. Liking the video always helps, and I will see you in a couple of days. Goodbye, be lucky.